Hello and welcome to Biz, your work life sorted. I'm Em Burnham.
And I'm Lisa Lee. I'm a former head of people and culture and organisational coach and the founder of Learner, a micro-learning app that helps you learn the people skills to solve real work problems really fast.
She does it all.
I've also interviewed a lot of people.
You have
over that
interviewed a lot of
time,
people.
And we're talking about that one moment today that can completely transform your career, which is the job interview.
Every time someone says the word interview to me in relation to job, I freak out.
Yeah,
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Is.
Like even when I'm not even in the position of interviewing someone or having a job interview, I think on both ends, I'm always like, oh my God, this is really scary.
Yeah, it's like a being on stage moment, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it literally is like a performance.
But what if I told you if interviewing is actually a skill that can be mastered, and when you get it right, it really opens doors and it can actually be enjoyable too.
Yeah, okay. That's why I'm really, really excited about this episode, because we're talking about like the whole spectrum of interviewing. If you're interviewing for another job, if you're going for a promotion, even if you're interviewing within the company, we're going to cover it all. We're going to give you a roadmap to interviewing skills.
Yes, we are. And we're going to talk about the research that actually sets you apart from other candidates and the questions you should be asking that show you're serious. So you're not just answering, you are asking too.
Okay.
And we will turn interview anxiety into a bit of a secret weapon.
I think it's more like you're going to be turning my anxiety into a secret weapon, because I have anxiety right now about this. So if you're ready to stop winging it and start winning it, you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
So when you've been on the hiring side, which I have interviewed a lot of people.
Yeah.
You can spot the difference between someone who's read the About Us page and the person that's actually done the prep and wanted to get to know you and get to know the role. And that deeper prep actually makes you really memorable.
Interesting. I feel like when I've interviewed people, that's not something that I could easily pick up on. So how do you actually pick up on that?
There's a few different things that you can tell that they're doing. So they're not asking about facts. They're talking about more context. So they might say things like, I saw you're expanding into APAC this year. You know, here's my experience across that region, etc. So they've gone and done the deeper work. And they'll ask questions or they'll link their experience back to that in really interesting ways.
Interesting. One thing that I've done is like I've given people a bit of a stalk.
Stalking is good.
A little, not like like I don't follow them to work, obviously,
yeah.
but I give them a bit of like LinkedIn stalk,
Yeah.
Instagram stalk,
Yeah.
see what people are doing. We actually had one of my colleagues here at Mamma Mia who doesn't work here anymore, but she used to work in the social media team. Her name is Maddie King, and she immediately grabbed our attention because she made a full Instagram account dedicated to Mamma Mia and why we should hire her for the social media team.
Wow.
And every post she did was like a different reason why. And we were just like amazed. We were like, get her in straight away.
That is so impressive. And she got the job, obviously.
She got the job.
Wow. I think like stalking people is really great prep, right?
Yeah.
And who cares if they see you doing it?
Yeah.
Like that's a good thing. Oh my gosh. You know, you want to look at their career path. You know, have they built teams before? Have they changed industries? It tells you it tells you what they might value and also how they might manage you as well, because you can see who they've worked with.
And I think also just like it helps you talk about things that aren't necessarily just about the job. Like if you see them like post something on LinkedIn or like something on LinkedIn, and you can be like, oh, I also read this post on this, knowing that they've also read it.
Well, and this sounds a little bit extra in terms of the stalking, but you can also pick up the language. So you can look at the language they use in like comms, whether it's like the job ad or how they post. This is next level. And go, okay, so they say customers, they don't say clients, or they say experiments, they don't say projects. And then you can sprinkle that language into the interview and go, immediately they're going, oh, this feels like someone that would work here or could work here. They speak our language.
I feel like that's also a psychology hack. Like I feel like when you meet someone who kind of like already speaks like you and vibes with you, you automatically like them.
Well, yeah, I mean, an interview is a connection point, right?
Yeah.
People need to be able to connect with you and go, I don't have to like you, but I do have to be able to work with you. And can I see that happening too? The other tip I'd say is like, you want to kind of decode the job ad and see what's in there. So if you see things like fast-paced environment or, you know, self-starter repeated, it's usually a signal that the team might be under-resourced or they're growing really quickly. Right. So you want to be ready with examples of how you can work in that ambiguity or questions around what that actually looks like day to day.
Oh, that's so smart. I feel like also with the way that the job market is now, I think so many people are trying to find a job, and they're interviewing and not getting it, and interviewing and not getting it. And I think it's so easy to forget that also you're interviewing the company.
Yes, yeah.
And it's so easy to kind of like miss those kind of like, I guess, beige or red flags in those initial job offers, because you just so desperately need and want a job.
Yeah.
And I think that is a really good reminder to also know that like you're an asset to that company.
Yeah, I mean, the worst thing you do is then just take the job, having not asked those questions, and then go, I don't want to be here. This is not what I wanted at all. Yeah. So you're right. It's your interview as well as their interview.
So doing this kind of prep, like it does feel like, I guess, extra work for doing like an interview that you aren't really sure you're going to get, and like you're going to get in the end. But it is so important, because I think that is what will help you stand out initially before you even get into the interviewing room.
Yeah, and like you said, it's competitive, so you need to be able to stand out, and you want to do that work to figure out if it's right for you.
So when I first did my very first interview here at Mamma Mia, I was very much like, okay, they're going to ask me a bunch of questions and I'm just going to answer them. And I thought it was going to be like question, answer, question, answer. And then I got in here and it was just so much more casual than what I was expecting, in a good way, where they were still asking me about myself and my experience, and I had prepped answers as well. But I didn't realize it was actually more of a conversation rather than just me just waiting there in silence for the next question.
And you're lucky you walked into that kind of experience and that environment, right? There are a lot of interviews that are very formal and structured and go through a million rounds of
where there's
processes.
like a panel of people interviewing you.
There's a panel. But if you can bring it more into a conversation space, I think you're going to make yourself a lot more comfortable too. Yeah. So you've done all of that prep work. I think the best, interviews have these candidates asking questions so that then the interviewee thinks, okay, they really get it. Like, let's go further here. And they actually end up going deeper in the conversation. Yeah. I have 4 questions that I've either used or that come to mind for me. These are some of the best questions I've seen people use, or I've actually used them myself and worked out, whether the role was right. So I wanted to share those with you today, Em. So question 1 that you can ask, you can pause this and write this down. If I join tomorrow, what's the first problem or project you'd want me to tackle? So this makes them picture you doing the work, and it shows you're ready to deliver this value immediately. And then you get a really good sense of like, what is the actual work I'll be doing, not what the job ad says.
That is so smart.
So often these job ads can be glorified titles.
Yeah, because they want to convince you to come for the interview.
Yes, and they're a bit mysterious. But by asking this, you can actually work out what your day-to-day looks like. Yeah, right. And whether you actually want that.
That's such a good question.
That's a good question. Something else someone asked me, which I thought was an absolute doozy, was, if you were looking back 6 months from now, what would have happened for you to feel like hiring me was the right call? So when I was asked that question as the interviewee, I was like, okay, like what kind of outcomes do I really want the role to drive? What would success look like in that role? And I had to really clearly define that for them, which was great, right? Because we ended up hiring them and they knew from day one what was going to happen over the next 6 months.
Oh my God.
So that was a good one.
Yeah.
This is one I've asked, okay, what have people in this role done really well in the past and where have they struggled?
Oh, that's a good one.
Especially if you've seen a business hire for this kind of role, I guess, consistently.
Yeah, like a bit of a high turnover.
You're like, what's going on here, and is this the right fit? Because do you know what? Sometimes there is just natural turnover, but also sometimes there are roles that just aren't quite right too.
Yeah. So and then surely that would be like a business, like if the business is seeing the same role not work out for candidate after candidate. Yeah. Surely that's a reevaluation of the actual role.
Yes, and also the business and how it's operating and whether that role's needed. Yes, that all happens. I think it shows your willingness to learn from past patterns, but it also prompts them around it. And it shows some really big picture thinking too.
They're like, actually, we don't need this.
Actually, we don't need this role. That happened to me in an interview.
No, it didn't.
So I guess I was asking these kind of questions. It was the 6-month question. And I asked this question. It was a brand new role. They're putting in like this talent culture director across a massive business. It was a new role. I asked the 6-month question, like what does success looks like? The interviewer, I was the interviewee, the interviewer asked me what I thought it was or what I thought it would be. I'm like, well, I mean, I can tell you, but what's your vision for the role? Yeah. And then I got into a second interview, and then after that, they decided they didn't even want the role at all. So they didn't hire anyone.
Oh my God.
So I mean, better that I find out then than go, 6 months in, I'm not passing probation because you actually don't even need the role.
Oh my God. I love how they were like, what a good question. What do you think
What
we
do you
should
think?
do?
I was like, red flag.
Like, I don't know, babe. It's your company.
Yeah, it's totally your company.
Oh my
Real
God.
red flag that you don't know what I should be achieving or what you want the role to achieve. So that is a great question.
Yeah.
Please ask that because it helps get you on the same page as them too. And I think when you ask questions like these, you know, you're not just filling the time at the end of the interview. You're showing them how you think, how you work, and really already picturing yourself in the role too and what that would look like. So that'll help make it conversational and take it out of like firing squad. They're just pumping me with questions into what can I ask here and how can I get to understand it?
I love that question. Okay, I have a confession to make.
Tell me.
When it comes to questions, because I think these questions are so good. And just to pull it all the way back, as someone who's never interviewed before I got my role at Mamma Mia, I didn't actually know as an interviewee that you can ask questions back.
Yeah.
I always thought it was like on me, like I have to be the best version of myself for getting that. Also, I'm also going to be helping the company if I do get this role. And I remember I did my interview at Mamma Mia and they were like, do you have any questions for us? And I was like, no.
Oh, I know.
And then I went home and my mum was like, did they ask you if you had any questions for them? And I was like, yeah, they asked. And she's like, and what did you say? And I was like, oh, I said nothing because I didn't have any. And she was like, no.
I know.
Like,
I'm cringing for
saw,
you too.
like the blood run from her face. And she was like, Emily, you always ask. And I was
Ask
like,
anything.
why? I didn't have anything.
But the worst is that you fumble and then you go, you know, and you ask a really random question altogether. But every
It's
single
like, what's
person,
your leave policy?
No, yeah. How soon can I take annual leave after I start?
Can I work from home all days?
So you have to know that everyone's going to ask that question at the end. It's just like a natural close to the conversation, right?
Yeah.
Did you have any questions for us? So think of something.
Yeah.
Anything.
I think any one of these that you've just mentioned, like just have it memorized, have it on retainer.
Yeah.
Like these are the great questions. And also questions I feel like they won't really expect. Like I feel like interviewers sometimes think that last question is more just going to be like very like what's the dress code, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then when you actually have to also force them to think, I think that's going to stick into their mind for like all the other interviews they do next.
Yeah, I mean, I've interviewed people who actually had a book and they opened it up and they had it written down. I was like, oh my gosh, amazing. Like, look at the prep you've done. I don't care that
Wait,
you've got
you
it
like
written
that?
down. I loved it.
Okay, good.
But they've thought about it. They've written it down. I've said, I wrote down some questions I'd like to ask. I've also interviewed people who are like completely distracted, like worst interview ever. I'm like, would you like to be here still in this interview? And so I've seen the full spectrum. Please just come prepared and like
Just come
ask
prepared.
something.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Not the annual leave thing, but
Not the annual leave thing.
So something I want you to know is that pretty much everyone gets nervous in interviews. Like I've seen senior leaders with decades of experience do it. I've interviewed at that level. I've also interviewed someone with their first time role. Same nerves.
Right.
I think the trick is not to pretend that you're not nervous, but know how to work with it so you can still really think clearly and connect. And we were just talking about this before around like confidence and preparation as well. The nervous energy isn't the enemy, but it's the unfocused nervous energy that is. So you really need to channel it, whether it's writing those questions down or it is doing a bit of prep and going through it with a friend, like channel the nervous energy into something. Yeah. There's this idea from coaching that I really like. It's from a book called The Inner Game by Timothy Galloway. And it has this formula where it says your performance equals your potential minus interference.
Your performance equals
Your potential.
minus interference.
So how you perform on the day is your potential, like, right? But you have to get rid of all the interference. And the interference is all the stuff messing with your head, all the nervous energy. I can't do this. I don't know. I didn't have a question.
Yeah, the self-doubt.
All the self-doubt and everything. And that's, for me, that's the perfect way to think about confidence coming into the room. You've already got the skills and the experience. Like, that's your potential.
Yeah.
The only thing that can get in the way is the self-doubt, you say. The overthinking as well. You know, you go, I didn't have a question. I'm going to start spiraling. They think I'm dumb. They don't think I can't do the role. And then you completely lose your train of thought and you're off track, right? So before you go in the room, if you can strip some of that back, more of your potential comes through.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
So how you perform on the day.
And it's like, because you, like you said, you will always get nervous with these interviews, and there are some things that you can't control. Like some people can't control shaking, some people can't control like a wobbly voice. So the things you can control, like the self-doubt and stuff, like handle that, put that away.
Yes.
And then the other things won't seem as big.
Yeah. One of the tricks I use, like self-talk is really big, right?
Yeah.
We all do it, like, oh, I'm so dumb, I didn't answer that question properly, I'm not going to get it, etc. It's unbelievable the power if you flip it. So if you, instead of going, I'm so nervous, I'm so nervous, I'm so nervous, and you talk yourself into being nervous, you start going, I'm really excited about this.
Yeah.
And if you just repeat that to yourself a couple of times, you'll start to believe it. Because the stories we tell ourselves.
That's so true.
Do that before you walk in the room. Have you tried anything else, like before you walk in the room?
I have actually tried a few things. I think years ago, I interviewed these two young women who have a podcast together called Interview Boss.
Yeah.
And their whole thing is teaching other young women on how to nail job interviews.
Great.
And some of the tips they gave me has worked so well, not even in the interview process, but just if you're like a nervous speaker in general, or nervous about talking about yourself or any type of interview. One of the things they said is always accept the glass of water. When they offer you a glass of water. There's something psychological about when you offer someone a glass of water and they accept it and you go get them a glass of water, for some reason we like that person a bit more.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's more just like, I think it's a form of like when you say no to a glass of water, it's the first thing you're saying to that person is like a rejection.
Yeah.
And there's some chemical in our brain which goes, oh, didn't like that. Even though you're actually making them do more work by getting the glass of water, they actually like you a bit better by doing that.
I'm thinking about all the times I've interviewed people and they've said yes or no. And when they do say no, it feels really awkward. You're like, oh, okay, should we sit down now?
Yeah.
It's like you've invited them into your house and like, no, I don't want to drink. I'm just here to talk.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
And you're just like, all right.
Sure.
It's so small, but it's like so significant. Another thing is like now you have your glass of water, right?
Yes.
A lot of people get nervous when they're in an interview, and the way that they get nervous is that they shake a lot. If you pick up your glass of water, take a sip, your hand might be a bit shaky. And I think when it comes to nerves that are like where everyone can see are the most annoying type of nerves. Like it's so different when it's like inside and no one else can tell, but when people can see it and it manifests so physically, clench your butt cheeks.
What?
Clenching your butt cheeks while picking up a glass of water will stop you from shaking.
I wish I was shaking so I could try that now.
I know. We're just too comfortable with each other.
Oh my gosh. I think the water is a good way to pause as well.
Yeah.
So just like put a pause in there rather than rushing into your answers. You can actually go, okay, what have they actually asked here? I'll have a drink. I'll pause.
Think about it while you sip.
I know, because people are so uncomfortable with silence, but it's okay if you're drinking a glass of water. And then you can go and ask a clarifying question if you need thinking time, and then just go, okay, I'm here to have a conversation. How would this be a conversational answer?
Yeah.
Off we go. Got my water. I'm ready to go.
That's such a good
What about
tip.
if your brain blanks in the interview, Em?
Oh, I had so many people write into me saying, what happens if your brain blanks? It's really hard. I'm a big rambler. Like there's been so many times, and I think it's so different depending on the situation you're in. Sometimes you have to fill space if you're like doing like a silo presentation and I just like ramble and ramble. In an interview, I think you can give yourself more grace because the interviewer knows that you're nervous. You know that you're nervous. Don't be afraid of the silence. I've had this once where my brain completely blanked, and this is where you can show off and look prepared. If you have like a notebook with notes, I would literally say, "Oh, that's such a good question. Do you mind if I just check my notes on that?"
Yes. Yeah. Buy yourself some time. I've had my brain blank, not in an interview, but in a presentation, and it's the most awful feeling.
Yeah.
There's nothing quite like it. It's almost like out of body. You're like, oh my gosh, do I have any thoughts? What's happening here? But if you've done the prep beforehand, you can go back and share something else, or you can connect it back into another story. So this great journalist once told me that you don't have to actually answer the question.
That's so true.
So they can ask
no
you a
celebrity
question.
does. So just pretend you're a celebrity.
Yeah. So they can ask you any question, and you can like talk about a story or an experience that may not necessarily answer that, but it'll buy you some time to talk about something you've already pre-prepared, right?
Yeah. That's
quite
answer.
helpful. Just go with that instead. I really like the water tip because I've been seeing these things on social media about the coffee cup test.
Yes. ...
Okay.
The coffee cup test, it went completely viral on TikTok, and it's this idea that when you go into a company and you sit down for the interview is also happening in the waiting room, and it's also happening after you leave the interview. And apparently some companies are doing this kind of test where if you sit down and they've asked, like, do you want a glass of water, or do you want a coffee, or can I get you anything, and you say yes, after the interview you finish your water, you finish your coffee, what do you do with the cup? Do you take it with you and put it in the kitchen, the office kitchen, or do you just leave it there? And apparently, like, some companies or some interviewers are using that as like a gauge of what kind of person they're interviewing.
Yeah.
Like someone who's like careless and leaves a cup for someone else to clean up, or someone who's aware of it and puts it away.
Let's be honest, we all hate those people in a meeting room that do that.
We do hate it.
Maybe they don't want more of those people.
But I was like, I feel like if I'm in an interview and someone's offered me a cup of water, I might be like, what do you want me to do with this cup? But I also think I might be the person who would like just leave it there and not really think about it.
Yes.
Which is so different to if I'm in a meeting, if I'm like with friends and stuff. Of course I'm going to take my cup because I know where the kitchen is and I know to put it in the dishwasher. Like, I don't know, like, do you want me to walk through your whole office to find the kitchen?
I know, that would be really awkward, wouldn't
So
it?
weird.
I think this is a strange thing that just went viral, and it's like probably taken out of context a bit. It probably is a data point. Like, I remember interviewing people and they would have come through someone else to get to the interview room, and that person would be like, oh, they were really friendly, or oh, they didn't really say much, did they? It's just it's a first impressions thing.
Yeah.
And you want to make a good first impression, whether or not they're judging you on the actual coffee cup, water glass situation. I don't think it's the whole answer. So please don't think you missed the job because of the coffee cup.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess it's good to know if people are.
It is, and you want to build rapport and you want to build some kind of connection. So maybe just ask.
Yeah, but exactly what you said. I would say that when you go for an interview, I pretend that the interview has started the minute I step foot into the office. Like, whoever you interact with, whoever, like, obviously you're going to be normal because you're a normal person. You're not going to like be crazy.
You're a normal nervous person.
And then suddenly just like change face when you're into that room. But just be aware of, like, you don't know who you're talking to. You don't know who's like greeting you. Like, obviously treat every single person with respect, as you should in your day to day.
Because you're a nice person.
You're a nice person. And just like if you're waiting there, if there's other like sometimes I sat in like in a room with like 4 other people who are interviewing for that job, and they're just like churning through us.
Yeah, that's so awkward.
It's so
you try not
awkward.
to get them overlap as well.
It feels like you're auditioning for like a movie, like for the main character in a movie.
Yes, yeah. Everyone's got their notes and ready to go. Yeah, that's not great either. No. Some people do it like that. I think, as an interviewer, you need to also think about having respect for the person as much as they're showing respect for you, taking the time to interview them as well.
Yeah.
So please don't stack them back to back either.
Don't stack.
Like they're in a revolving door.
It's really weird.
So weird.
Okay, we're getting close to the end of our interview episode, but we have my favorite segment, our one useful thing. Lise, what is our one useful thing today?
So I'm going to give you someone to follow because I follow him on LinkedIn. I'm not actually interviewing at the moment, but I see this content. I'm like, God, that'll be so helpful for someone who is interviewing right now. His name is Eli Gunduz. And if you're in that interview zone or you're prepping to be, he's a technical recruiter at Atlassian, but he's also a career coach. And he posts the most practical, helpful advice, like literal copy and paste stuff that you can do.
Oh, amazing.
I think one of the hardest parts of the interview is actually getting in the room. And I hear that from so many people right now. They're going, I can't get the interview, let alone, be able to prep for it.
It's so hard right now.
It is really hard. So he has got this method called pitch, proof, ping, personalize. So I'll give you the play that he has. Okay. And I'm going to link to it in the show notes too because it's brilliant. So first one is pitch. So you want to open with 3 lines max, who you are, what you bring, why you're reaching out. Mm-hmm. Then you're going to use some proof. So whether that's like a bit of a case study or an example of something you've done, not a one-pager, but, some kind of little summary in there of something that's relevant to that role.
Yeah.
So that's your proof. Then you're going to ping them a few days later, like 4 or 5 days later. Don't stop after one message. Don't just go, well, I asked them about the role and no one responded.
Yeah,
so
follow up.
Everyone's busy, yeah? Mm. And then the last step is personalize. So he will say, mention a product or they're expanding into APAC or some kind of thing like that, which is something you admire about the business or a problem they're solving, something they've posted about recently, to connect it back to why you're interested in the job and why you're interested in the role. And he says it's a really successful way to actually cut through because these people who are interviewing are getting so many applications.
Yeah.
So pitch, proof, ping, and personalize them to actually get the interview in the first
Oh,
place.
so good. That's
it.
so handy and so easy to remember. I also want to talk about how you've done your interview, you've done all of the little tips and tricks we've given you. So now you finish the interview and you haven't heard from them in a while. I know that it's always useful to follow up, but I think what people struggle with is the time frame on when to follow up. Like, do you wait a week? Do you wait a few days? You don't want to seem too keen, but you also don't want to miss the opportunity.
Yeah, so 2 things on this. I think that interviewing is a little bit like dating, right? In a good way.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe you can tell me a little bit more about this.
It's not like dating right now, I can tell you that.
So do not take the approach of treat them mean, keep them keen. That will not work. Like, you want to follow up and show that you're interested.
They really don't care.
Yeah, and you want to show that you're interested and keep in touch with them as well. Because if it's not this role, there actually might be a future role. So keep that connection alive. The best thing you can ask before you leave the room is, say you were interviewing me, Em, when would it make sense for us to catch up next, Em? Or when would it make sense for me to touch base with you on the role?
Oh, and then I just give you the answer.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Then they might say, oh, actually, we're interviewing a lot of people for the next week. We'll reach out, or let's touch base in the next 2 weeks. There's your answer, so you know.
That's so helpful.
So many people won't ask that as well.
Yeah.
It's a really
Maybe
good
put that on our list of questions to ask. Any questions
Add
from
that
me.
one in. That could be your last question.
Your last question.
Yeah.
I had a friend who is really good at the follow-up.
Yeah.
And she will follow up. And there's been times where even exactly what you said, the role hasn't been right for her. So she's followed up and they said, actually, we've gone with someone else. The role wasn't right. But she doesn't let that be the end communication, just in case, especially if it's like a company that she really wants to work for.
Yeah.
And she's made so many connections by like just taking the interviewer out for coffee like every 6 months just to catch up, be friends with them if you really like them as a person.
I love this person.
And it's just like so helpful because then she's like the first person to know when there's like a new job opportunity available at that company.
I've hired people like that. I've gone, hey, this role isn't actually right for you, but we've got one coming up in 2 months that I think would be a much better fit. Is it okay if we have a chat about that then?
Yeah.
And then we got them in.
And then make sure they chat with you in 2 months.
Yeah,
So good.
So again, circling back to like dating, like
Yeah.
keep in touch.
Keep in
Keep
touch.
it warm. Yeah. Keep it open.